Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Matt, aka Thanatos, and I'm coming to you live.
What was that?
I had Melody's birthday balloon, so I wanted to.
Do it again.
And
Oh, hold on. I'm stuck.
I'm over it. So today by my co-host, Matt, the boy who had 7, and his son Tim, along with John's Comics with Kids and his wonderful daughter Kate. Thank you guys for joining us.
Hi, Matt. How are you doing?
What's up, everybody? How's everyone doing?
Good.
Oh, man.
Oh, I think I had that box on
Still
John.
shocked from the Smurf that introduced us.
Make sure you say what's up.
I got a lot of people in the chat. So, firstly, I'd like to apologize for my absence. I haven't been on YouTube in 2 weeks. Just throwing that out there.
It has been a while. We've missed you.
No, you haven't. You don't need to lie to me.
I didn't even notice, actually. I was not aware.
You guys are all doing like crazy stuff, doing all your videos, and I'm over here like.
I noticed because it was like 2 weeks in a row. I had shows scheduled for being on with you.
I know, and then it all got jacked up.
Didn't we take your nerd alert? Like, wasn't that supposed to be tonight?
Yeah, today was supposed to be Nerd Alert, but I haven't really looked into Mr. Tolkien very much in the past little bit, so.
He's not going anywhere.
No, it's happening. Yeah, his content is definitely not going anywhere.
Yeah, we can't wait for that one. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
I'm just super pumped. I mean, like, the star of the show is still here. Tim, you are crushing this show every week. I am always pumped on seeing Tim because he knows what he's talking about every time. 100%. I am Team Tim 100%. So I'm super pumped on that. It's also my middle name, so I'm also there for that reason. It's not entirely selfless, but I'm super pumped. We're getting Generation 2 here to talk Green Lantern No Fear, which is, in my opinion, the best of this run. But mostly, I'll tell you this. I wanted to kind of, off the bat, without hijacking your show like I do most shows, my opinion very much so is that Green Lantern, there's two layers to him. There's one that's like the space adventure, Star Wars, outer space stuff. And then for me, the stuff I like is the family, the like cut to the heart kind of stuff that is the first half, especially of No Fear for me. And that's why I love the beginning of this one, especially, and even the beginning of the next one where you get Green Arrow involved. I really do like the stuff that cuts to the core of Hal and his family life.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Green Arrow that's coming up in Revenge is pretty cool, and it's like they actually use that in a bunch of TV shows, which is kind of cool. So that whole thing should be pretty familiar to a lot of people who watch the show.
Yes, D Comic Queen. I'm missing my green. I have one Green Lantern shirt, and Kate likes to wear it to sleep in, and it's now got holes, lots and lots of holes in it. And unlike Reggie collects, I can't pull off a shirt that's missing huge portions.
I'd like to thank everybody who showed up in the chat. Caleb Murphy is here, and we just had a weird incident. I picked up some Green Lantern books that I would have been able to unbox today probably. But one, I screwed up my address that I sent to him, and it's a big debacle. So we're figuring that out. Sorry, Caleb, that I screwed that up. Marco's here. Marco 808. Comics Misexplained stopped by. We've got Fire Guy Ryan, TJ, Whoop-de Birds in the house, DC Comic Queen, D Comic Queen, good Lord.
Always do that.
Every time, man. And we got DK's in the house, 90 MF Comics. Rick Hunter all the way from Germany. Thank you for showing up. Oh, thanks, Pope. I feel like Ryan Reynolds sometimes.
Oh man.
All right. So, do you guys want to just get into it, or you want to overview your initial thoughts?
I will start off by just again saying the very beginning of No Fear, you get obviously like the origin story a little bit again from Hal. But for me, the stuff that I love is seeing. I am the middle of three brothers. Hal is the middle of three brothers. I like seeing the dynamic with his parents and with his brothers. And I'll tell you, from the beginning of that story, that very first couple of pages where you see Hal as a kid, getting on the school bus and his brothers and how they all are following the rules and going to school, but Hal's running off and doing his own thing, all the way through to the end of that storyline, about the midway point here. That stuff is, for me, it's the core of this particular run, and I always go back to I like a hero that has emotion, and obviously when you rob your main hero of one primary emotion, which is fear, it can definitely cause a sort of boring read for the viewer, where they're like, well, this guy never shows any emotion. And I think what this definitely does is ground Hal Jordan, and the stuff with his family and his brothers gives so many other layers of emotion that make it highly entertaining.
Yeah. You want to talk about this scene?
When his dad dies?
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, you there, Matt?
Did I just kind of take over and hijack this whole thing?
I feel like we
and then
lost.
Matt bailed on us.
I feel like we lost.
Matt just bailed. He's like, I'm done. John
busy.
took over and I left. And now Matt's back again.
There he is.
My like I told you guys, my computer shut off. Like
Are
it
you gonna be able
literally
to
just
keep this
died.
going?
Oh my god. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and talk amongst yourself. I'm gonna get this up on my tablet.
Yeah.
Well, one of the questions I had for Tim, and I don't know if Tim's had a chance to look at it, was this idea. I know that they repeat it over and over again. Hal Jordan doesn't feel fear. Hal Jordan has no fear. But my question is, does he genuinely not have fear, or is he just able to control the fear within him? What do you think, Tim?
I think he's able to control the fear in him, because like all people have fear. Like somebody's gonna have to be able to fear something. Nobody can say that they're not afraid of anything. So I feel like because of his willpower, he's able to control that.
I would agree. I think when you go through something as hard as he did when he was so young, losing his dad, that's probably one of the greatest fears you can have as a child, to lose your parents, to be alone. And he made it through that. And now everything after that is kind of secondary to what that did to his life,
Sure.
So I mean,
but I know that for me, it was something that turned me off to Hal Jordan initially, and not wanting to read Green Lantern, was I was like, come on, he can't possibly have no fear. He's a human being. We all have these emotions in us. How can he completely not have it? And I think this is the story for me in the run that at least grounds that lack of emotion in not simply like I was feeling before I read it, but this idea that he doesn't have fear, but instead what Tim is saying, that he has the will to not let it control him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which is far more challenging.
You know what? And I think it's what makes him more heroic, because we see time and time again, there are things that are real fearful that he goes through, but he's able to overcome those things with his willpower, And so that's why I like him so much, is because I can tell there is a fear there, but because of his attitude about life and his desire to be heroic, his desire to be the best, he overcomes those things. And I love that about him. Ooh, I like that, Matt.
You saw that?
I saw that.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You are now on my tablet, which I have never used to stream. This is kind of crazy.
Well, I don't know. Hopefully it doesn't kick us off. I know that there's you're not supposed to stream from a tablet or a phone anymore.
Everything's fine. Everything is fine.
So this first story, I like the way the Johns uses this idea of like flying as this sort of metaphor for trust, right? This idea that like you can have fear in something as vulnerable as being in an airplane and just going at like crazy speeds, but you can control it and find the fun in it. At the beginning, he says something like that Kyle Rayner has the fight in him, but he doesn't have the thrill, and that's something that he gets accused of a lot. And people say it's his problem that Hal has the fight in him, but he's not finding the thrill of it. But I think that he underestimates himself. I think he does have a lot of the joy in it, but so you get these great moments of "you've never flown," that repeating phrase, "you've never flown with me," kind of coming through again and again and again.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I really like the fact so Jeff Johns was a genius in the sense that at any point between each of these trades, you could have hopped in. Like the fact that he kind of rehashes the origin story of Hal Jordan each time in Secret Origin, in No Fear, in Rebirth, like every single time he kind of goes over like, hey, just FYI, I'm Hal Jordan, and this is kind of like how I became Green Lantern. To definitely like, so you could have, while this was starting, you could have hopped in during any of these and been like, holy crap, this is cool. And like, I feel like I just started, and you can kind of go back and read, but at the time you're in it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Do you think that that's just bad DC like side of things where they're constantly asking him to go back and start as an issue 1? Like, oh, by the way, you're doing another issue 1 for Green Lantern. Like, it's not a single straight run, right? Of like however many issues. Like this issue is an issue 1. You've already read a full trade of story, and now we're at issue 1. Like, is it some of that awful editorial garbage where they're like, you know what, we need to reboot again and start at a 1. We just started with Rebirth 1, but now we're going to reboot again to 1.
I think Jeff Johns knew exactly what he was getting into because he had this whole thing master planned from the get go. He knew exactly what he wanted and how the story was going to progress. So I don't think that he was upset about it. I think he was doing it with intent to make sure that he had the widest audience possible for this grand story that he was about to go into.
So, Kate, what did you want to say about this page?
There's a part where he says, "I'm scared," and